your host Mahakan Graphics Wali. The time is 7 p.m. PST, and I'm really glad you all could make to this session. It's an honor to welcome today our esteemed guest joining us from USA, Dr. Miles Davis. He's a respected education leader and an academic professional currently serving in senior leadership roles with higher education. His work focuses on leadership, innovation, entrepreneurship, and purpose-driven growth, and has been actively been involved in mentoring and guiding institutions and individuals towards meaningful impact. We are excited to learn from his experience and insights today. Please join us. Please join us in giving him a warm welcome. And hey, Dr. Miles, how are you doing?
Alhamdulillah. I want to thank you for inviting me to be a part of this conversation. There's nothing that I enjoy more than having an opportunity to speak with young people because truly you are our future. I am getting a bit older and I'm looking forward to seeing how you emerge and change the world. So since Maha has her mic muted, I think she expects me to continue talking. Is that it? You're giving me the thumbs up?
Yeah, yeah. I just want that you take over the floor now. It's over
Okay.
to you.
All
Yeah.
right, mashallah. Okay. Again, welcome. Uh, I'm going to talk a little bit about myself. I actually am not always the most comfortable speaking about myself. I'm much more comfortable with you asking me questions, and I'm willing to entertain any and all questions. But I will give you a little bit about my background, about where I started from and how I got to where I am. And then afterwards, inshallah, we will have an opportunity for you to ask questions. I first want to let you know that I was born in the U.S. in a city called Philadelphia. It's a city of about 4 million people. I was born what they called socially economically deprived. We just called it being poor. I did not realize that I was poor or socially economically deprived because everybody in my neighborhood was in the same situation. So I did not feel as if I was missing anything. I felt as if there was family there to support me. Myself, my family, my mother, and my grandmother all lived within a 2 block radius of each other. So I felt very much supported. There are a couple of things that are different about my background that I think have led me to even having this conversation with you. One is that Philadelphia has one of the largest Muslim populations in the United States. And I mention that because my mother was and is Christian, and my father was Muslim. So I grew up in a household reconciling two faiths and embracing the stories that were both told in the Bible, in what was in the Quran, and reconciling the two of them. I was taught at a very young age there was a hadith that my father introduced me to. He said that the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ said that one must seek knowledge even if he has to go to China. And so growing up in an environment where education was important caused me to excel at education. I also enjoyed sports. I played American football and ran track, but it was education that guided me and caused me to want to learn and do more. And eventually, it was education that lifted me up out of poverty, that allowed me to take on senior leadership roles in large organizations And eventually, as I went back and got my doctorate degree at the George Washington University here, I double majored in both quantum physics, chaos theory, as well as in organizational behavior. That allowed me to move into academia as well as work with organizations. What is interesting about that also is the fact that I've always had an interest in entrepreneurship, and I've had an interest in particular around how does our faith shape our perspective on entrepreneurial behavior. So there's a pretty well read paper online that talks about an Islamic perspective on entrepreneurship as well as an Islamic perspective on leadership that I wrote, and I continue to write. I just finished up 2 book chapters on what we're calling halalpreneurship now. I've had a chance to lecture in Karachi and Lahore on this topic and at IIBA and at the University of Lahore. And I've done a number of lectures online throughout the Islamic in general world about this topic. I also sit on the board at this point of the Amana Mutual Fund Trust, which is the largest Sharia compliant investment company in the world. We manage about 8 billion US dollars in assets that allow Muslims and non-Muslims to invest according to Islamic principles. These are things that are far removed from when I was growing up and playing. And I never imagined I'd be here, but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had different plans for me. I told you that I really don't like talking about myself. Those are some highlights. There's a bunch of things that are in between that you can ask me about. But I want to explore your curiosity, if that's okay with your instructor, with Ms. Maha, for you to ask me questions. Feel free to ask me any and all questions because I have found that one of the things that is a constant through my life is that I've sought both to be understood and to help people understand. We have to get to a point where we're willing to explore and know the world and know one another. And so we cannot do that if we don't ask questions. And so I'm going to stop and let you ask whatever questions there are instead of just rambling on about matters.
It's lovely to hear from you, and it's amazing that you had this journey. Before we move on to students, I have one question in my mind, and I'm anxious to ask you about that.
Sure.
That from your journey in higher education and leadership, what is one mindset or skill you believe young people today must develop to lead with purpose and create meaningful impact in their communities?
This is a wonderful question. So, first of all, to be effective, you have to have curiosity. You have to want to know about the world in which you're operating within and be willing to explore and ask questions. So, alhamdulillah, you started off with a wonderful question to ask these questions. The other thing is to have impact. You have to ground yourself in knowledge and information. You cannot begin to impact others until you have begun to impact yourself in learning and gathering information. It's about being willing to explore and find things that can benefit you, benefit your family, benefit your community, and possibly benefit your nation. It's about having knowledge and information that is useful to be used. We develop our purpose, and it's interesting to have this conversation. So tell me, please, what is the average age of people on this meeting today? What's the average age?
Almost, if I don't talk about myself, around my facilitator ages. The students are actually 13, 14, if I'm not wrong. They're all 13, 14 age bracket, or 10, 14, you can say. So yeah.
Okay, alhamdulillah. And so it's interesting because I began to see my life take shape at that age. When you get into the teenage years, even though it may seem like it's far away, but it is the beginning of maturation. It is the beginning of exploring the world. It may be the first time where you ever go and do anything independent of your parents, where you go out and play with your friends, because now you're in adolescence. And those choices that we begin to make at that age will help shape our future in realizing our purpose. Does that make sense to you, Maha? Did I not touch on something that you wanted me to touch on in that answer?
That's exactly what I asked from you, and it's lovely to hear. Again, the answer was amazing.
Okay.
Moving on after me, I have Fahil Ahmed Aiwala. Fahil, please introduce yourself and ask your question.
Yes, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. As I'm curious, my name is Fail Ahmed Aywala, 11th Star Transfer Samba Campus. How are you?
Alhamdulillah. How are you doing? I love that you started with Bismillah Rahman Rahim. I love this. But please, yes, Alhamdulillah.
Okay. My question is, what habit do you think every successful student schedule build?
I'm not sure I understood the question. I had a hard time hearing. Could you help me out, Maha? I couldn't quite
Sure.
hear.
Fahil, could you just repeat once?
Please
That would be great. Yeah.
repeat your question, young Mr. Fahil. Please repeat your question because I did not catch it.
Okay. My question is, what habit do you think every successful student schedule build?
If I'm not wrong, he's saying that what's one thing you think that a person can adopt to if he wants to be successful. If I'm not wrong, the thing I got, I think it's something like that. Yeah.
Yes.
Because I was also unclear about this thing. Yeah.
Yeah. So young Mr. Ahmed. So one thing that is important for success is resiliency. You know this word, resiliency. You have to be willing to fail. You have to be willing to step out. You have to be willing to try things and then recover from those things that you try. Those who do not try will never achieve anything. And so being able to stand up and persevere and be resilient is one of the key indicators of what will lead one to success, inshallah.
So I hope Fahim, he has answered your question.
And I think I see a hand up from Anabia.
Yeah. So Anabia, please introduce yourself and please ask your question.
Okay, Assalamualaikum. My name is Rabia Shangaltwali, and I am a 11th student at Transfer Sam campus. My question is, what are your dream or goals for the future?
What are your dreams and goals for your future?
You know what? I like this question. You have a longer future ahead of you, inshallah, than I do. My future is beginning to wind down. But I will tell you this: my future, my dreams and hopes for the future is that we can learn to live in peace, that we can work as hard and as forcefully to create an environment of peace that people work to create environments of warfare and destruction. This is why when I was contacted by Mr. Rehan and invited to be a part of this, I very much accepted it because we have to communicate not just in our own countries, but reach out to others who are like-minded, who want to make a difference in the world, want to make a positive difference in the world. This is my hope and dream, that we can eventually get to a point where Philistine is okay, where the Sudan is okay, where any place there is turmoil in the world is okay, that we can eventually learn to live in peace, inshallah.
Thank you so much, Anabia. I hope your question is answered. Please put your hand down. Next on my screen is Zainab Coding Valley.
My 2 questions.
Okay, you have one more question. That's amazing. Okay, Anabia, go ahead. Go ahead.
My next question is, what subject do you enjoy the most and why?
So this is an easy one for me. This is good. I enjoy science. I enjoy I particularly like quantum physics, but without going too far into that, I enjoy the exploration of science. It's important. The other thing that I enjoy is history, because it is history that is best suited to reward our pursuit. Learning about what has happened gives us a perspective about how to move forward. And so both science and history, those are my 2 favorite subjects.
Okay. Thank you so much, Anabia, for your questions. Next on my screen is Zainab Coding Valley. Yes, Zainab, please introduce yourself and ask your question.
Okay, Assalamualaikum everyone. I am Zainab Coding Valley, a proud level 1 batch 3 student at Rehan School Online Academy. So my question to you was that what is the biggest failure in your life and what did it teach you?
So it's interesting when you say what's the biggest failure, because to me, there is nothing in life as a failure. It's a learning lesson. And my faith, Islam, teaches that what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has determined for you, none can keep from you, and what he does not mean for you to have, none can give you. And so I'm struggling with answering that question directly. And of course, we cannot even go back and say what we wish we would have done differently, because things are always as they are. Have I not been successful in things that I've tried? Yes, but I would never refer to them as a failure. There have been lessons that I've learned along the way, and let me think about this a bit, because I guess I've never framed any of the things that have happened in my life, even when at one point in my life my house burnt down. I lost everything. And it mashallah. I don't get upset, or if I lost a job, or anything that happened, I've never quite looked at it as a failure. And so maybe my biggest failure is to look at failure as a failure.
That's amazing. I really love this one. I think, and we should adopt to this strategy of yours, that we should stop looking at failures as a failure. That's amazing. Thank you so much, Zeda, for your lovely question. Moving on my screen, we have Muhammad Arshul. Arshul, please introduce yourself.
Okay, so Assalamu alaikum. My name is Mohammed Ashil Business Wala, and I'm 13 years old, and I'm in level 1 at the Rehan School Online Academy. And my question to you is that what does purpose-driven leadership mean to you, and how can students apply it into apply it to create a meaningful impact in their own lives and communities?
This is a great question. And so I have to answer that question in the context of my faith. So In the Quran, the expression "Fisabillah," in the name, in the way of Allah. And so, purpose-driven life is a life that is aligned with our divine purpose. And so, to me, I cannot distinguish my economic success from my religious beliefs. Is that the purpose in my life is to try to find out what skills, abilities, and knowledge I have that can help advance, again, my family, my community, and the Ummah as a whole. And so we have to take stock of ourselves. Matter of fact, I wrote this down. I love that you asked this question, Muhammad, because I've asked myself this question. And so here's how you can find your purpose. You ready, Muhammad? I think you should take note of this. You ready for this? Okay, Muhammad. What are you really good at?
Playing.
No, you don't have to answer me. I
Oh.
want you to note this. Okay, so what are you really good at? What is your passion? Hopefully those two things work. What are you really good at? What is your passion? This will lead you to what is your purpose. And then the final question on that is, what problem are you trying to solve? This will lead you into a purpose-driven life. A purpose-driven life is a life that is getting beyond it. And let's be clear. Sometimes we just have to do things because we have to earn money. You know, the reality, that's the reality. We have to eat. We live in a consumer society in a world where you have to buy things. So I understand that. But if you have your choice, you know that you're on purpose when you find joy and driven to do what you're going to do. I feel like I'm on purpose because I'm here with you on a Saturday morning in the US when it's freezing outside talking to you because I feel this is part of my purpose. I think that I'm reasonably good at explaining things, but I know I have a passion for explaining things. So that's what it is. And then what problem are you trying to solve? And in my head, I'm trying to solve the misunderstanding and miscommunications that we have in the world. Muhammad, is that any of that making any sense to you, Muhammad?
Yes, it makes sense.
Alhamdulillah.
Thank you so much, Rashid, for your amazing question. Next on my screen is Zoina, Education Valley. Zoina, please introduce yourself and ask your question.
Okay, Assalamualaikum, Dr. Miles Davis. Okay, my name is Reena, Education Valley, and I'm 10 years old. I'm student of Rehan School Online Academy, Level 1. Okay, so my question is that from your experience in military, academia, and global education, what has most shaped your moral compass?
What has most separated? I missed the last part of that. What is most?
Zoina, can you repeat the last one?
Yes, Ms. Ma.
We did not get you from the last part, Zoina. So can you just repeat the last part of the question?
Okay, what has most shaped your moral compass?
I'm not sure. Most separated your model compass? That's what I heard. I'm not sure.
Yes, Zoina, could you just say it again because we're not clear what you're saying? Or could you just type in? I'll just if you could type in, I'll just read it out for you. No issues. Just do it quickly. From your experience in the military, academia, and global education, what has shaped your moral compass?
Oh, this is easy. This is the easiest question I've got all night. That's Islam. You know, from the beginning of Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wa waqtu la sharika lahu wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan abduhu wa rasulullah, from that very beginning, that shapes it. That provides the foundation of your moral compass. Now, also let me be clear. Sometimes that put me at odds in the environment in which I live. Because I live in the United States. But even if you live in Pakistan, it doesn't not matter because you will find that there are practices that countries and governments and people do that are part of the military academy that are inconsistent with Islamic values. you have to ground yourself in your own values. So Islam has been my standard, my guiding light, my pathway forward, to the extent that even now, at this point in my life, at 66 years old, I continue to grow and learn. I was up this morning for a class after Fajr on reading the Quran, and reading the Quran in Arabic so that I can get a deeper understanding of this. So this is what guides my moral compass.
What an amazing question and what an amazing answer. So, and I hope he has answered your question.
Sorry, Ms. Maha?
I hope he has answered your question.
Yeah.
Okay, that's great. So next on my screen is Zainab Tahreem Justice Wali. Yes, Zainab, please introduce yourself and ask your question.
Thank you so much. I'm Rehan Justice Valley, and I'm student at Rehan School Online Academy from last 1.5 years. So my question is, what is the most important lesson you have learned while building Wigway University that young students should know today?
Be fearless. Now, let me be clear when I say be fearless. Be fearless does not mean that you don't have fear. Being fearless means that you conquer that fear with action, that you move forward with faith, that you are willing to try, even though there's resistance, even though there are those who don't believe in what you're doing, there are those who have a different perspective. You have to be fearless. You have to be willing to step out and do things. And so the most important lesson I've learned is not not to be shy about doing what is right and being fearless about approaching that, because it'll be okay, inshallah.
Okay, that's amazing. Zainab, I hope he has answered your question. Okay, that's lovely. Next on my screen is our Verdi facilitator, Ms. Ira Mushtaq, Education Wali. Assalamu alaikum, ma'am. Please introduce yourself and please you can carry on with your question.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Maha. And Assalamu alaikum to everyone. I have two questions to ask. First question is to Sir Dr. Miles. I want to know that can you tell me one very major gap in the American education system that you personally feel exists? And my second question is when your religion is Islam, then why you have chosen a Christian name for yourself? If you want to answer this religion question, is up to you. And my first question is necessary.
Yeah, please
Thank
tell
you
me
very much.
yeah, please tell me your first question again. I missed the first part. I
Okay,
have the second one.
okay. I was asking that what is the major gap in the American education system as you personally feel exists?
What is the gap in the American education system? Yeah, this is a good question. So
Yes.
there are lots of gaps in the American education system from my perspective. One is we don't do a good job of teaching history, particularly world history, in the American education system. People in Pakistan know far more about the United States than people in the United States know about Pakistan. So there's a big gap in that. So number one. Number two, we don't do a good job with teaching languages, which is related to the first point. And so my father growing up, I had to learn Arabic. And then I learned Spanish, and then I learned French. These things allowed me to connect with people around the world. Unfortunately, I don't speak any Urdu, but if I had somebody, I would learn. And so language and history is the most important thing that I think is missing. Now, having said that, also, we don't do the best job. A lot of American students don't do a good job of the sciences. And so if you look at most of the scientific innovation and intellectual innovation that's happening in the United States, it is actually not happening from native born Americans. It's happening from people who came from another country, came to the United States, and then introduced it. And so this is where I think. The last one, I'm hoping you can hear, because I had a chance to have this conversation. So I'm going to give you this conversation, but I have to tell you this first. So when I was on Hajj, I had a chance to meet with the Mufti of Saudi Arabia, the Grand Mufti there. And we had an interesting conversation about this. And here's what I want to share with you, my dear young sister. There is no such thing as a Muslim or a Christian name. The names that we know in Islam were there before Islam. Abu Bakr was Abu Bakr before Islam. Khadija was Khadija before Islam. Aisha was Aisha before Islam. And so there are Arab names, there are Pakistani names, and I have an American name because of where I was born. Now, what he said was also important is that as long as the name itself wasn't offensive, so if or inconsistent with Islam, so if my parents had named me Christian, that would have been a problem. But there is no reason for me to change my name because that is not the identifier. The names that you have, the names that you share, are reflective of your culture. There is no such thing in an Islamic name. They're just Arab names or Pakistani names or all these other names. And so that this is a good question. I haven't been asked that one in a while, and I have come up against people when I was in Malaysia, and people had a hard time believing that I was Muslim because my name was Miles Davis. I was lecturing at the University of Malaysia, and they said, "Are you Muslim?" Like, yeah. And so, but here's the thing. So I'm going to tell you a secret, okay? This is our secret. Being named Miles Davis allows me to be an undercover spy. And I get to go into places and people don't realize that I'm Muslim. And I get a chance to talk to them about Islam and they don't realize, like, wow, where's this guy learn this stuff from? And so then eventually they find out that I'm Muslim. So it's our secret. So don't tell anybody. Shh.
Are you sure this is a secret? Because we're going to many people are watching us. It's amazing. It's amazing. Thank you so much, Mr. Rim, for asking such questions. And
I personally say you thank you very much for your brilliant clarification and your brilliant answer. And your answer is very inspiring. And while I was expecting this answer from your side, so thanks a lot. अब मैं क्या कहूँ उर्दू में कि मेरे आने का मकसद आपने पूरा कर दिया. So you give me thank you very much. Thank you.
thank you so much, Ma'am Irim. Thank you so much, Dr. Miles, for answering the question in the best way you can. Next on my screen is Adam Kashif Kodingwala. Assalamu alaikum, Adam. Please introduce yourself and move on with your question.
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Adam Kashif. I just turned 14 today. So my question is for you, Dr. Miles Davis, is how has growing up with a Muslim father and a Christian mother shaped your values and worldview?
It's interesting because I don't know if in your environment you ever have this issue with where you have one parent of one religion, a parent of another religion. But here's what I want to make sure that you understand, young Mr. Adam. This is actually how Islam was spread. Islam was actually spread through intermarriage. The example was set by Muslim merchants who were traveling throughout the world, and they often intermarried. The prohibitions about who we can and cannot marry are laid out very clearly in the Quran, and so growing up with these values, here's one value aside from everything else I've talked about that I've come to appreciate growing up in a household with a Christian mother and a Muslim father, is that Islam encompasses everything that is in Christianity. The difference is, as Christianity is taught, there are two major differences between what Islam teaches about Christianity and what most Christians say about Christianity. One is, astaghfirullah, we don't say that Nabi Isa or Jesus Christ is the Son of God. That's the one thing that is different. And and the ideal that we are to pray to somebody else other than God, and then of course the final thing was that Nabi Isa was crucified on the cross. So if you take those two things away, there's a whole surah in the Quran, Surah Maryam, devoted to Nabi Isa's mother. It talks about his virgin birth. It talks about his righteousness. And so what I learned growing up in that household was to try to find the thing that encompassed the greater truth as opposed to the narrower, small differences that may exist between things. Hope that makes sense to you, young Mr. Adam.
Yes,
Thank
it
you.
does. Thank you for answering my question.
Thank you so much, Adam, for asking such a good question. Moving on, I have on my screen Ahmed Codingwala. Ahmed, please introduce yourself and move on with your question.
Yeah, Assalamu alaikum, Miles Davis, myself, I'm Wala, and I'm from Pakistan, as you know. So my question is to you that looking back on your journey, what choices matter most in shaping the life you live today?
What has shaped my life the most? And thank you for that question. Is education, being informed, going to school, learning as much as I can. I cannot overemphasize that. And if my mother was sitting beside me, she would be so very proud of me saying this, because she always emphasized education. As I mentioned also that my father, through a hadith, emphasized education as to shape me. And then on a more direct level, having people who I looked up to and admired shape my journey. Even as recently, well, you know, may Allah grant him the highest of Jannah. One of my mentors was Dr. Yaqub Mirza, who happened to be from Pakistan, by the way. He was the one that brought me into the Amana board. He was a co-founder of it. Wonderful gentleman. And why do I mention him? The same way I could mention Herbert Wigway or other people I've known. It's important to have mentors and who are helping guide and shape you, Ahmed. People whose example you can follow. And so, of course, ideally, it should start with our families. But sometimes in our families, we don't have the best examples. And so we should try to find people who are leading the type of life that we hope to lead, that set an example for us, and then attach ourselves to those people. And I know this is a bit long, and I know it's beginning to run short on time, but I want to say this also. Because I just finished attending a series of Islamic lectures on the four major madhab, the four major schools of Islamic thought, Hanbali, Malik, Shafi, Hanafi. I just finished attending a lecture on that. And what was really interesting to me is how interconnected they were. They were not in competition with each other. Those four, they all knew each other or were the son of each other. They built upon each other. And what that reinforced to me is that we all need people to help shape and guide us, and that we're not going off on a different tangent. These schools are not necessarily in competition with one another. It's just the way in which they approach their reasoning and their jurisprudence. But it all starts with the Quran and the Sunnah, and then there are things like Qiyas and Ijtihad, which I don't want to bore you with these Islamic concepts. But my main point is that they were connected. And so, Ahmed, what I will tell you is that education and finding the right people, there's a saying in the U.S. in English that says, if you want to understand who you are, look at who you surround yourself with. And so I've tried to do my best to surround myself with good people to show me a good example about how I could be better, inshallah.
That's a really good answer. Thanks so much.
My
Thank you
pleasure.
so much for your question. Moving on, we have again our worthy facilitator, Ms. Hina Parenting Wali. Assalamu alaikum, ma'am. Please introduce yourself and go on with your question.
Walaikum assalam, and thank you so much, Miss Maha. And Assalamu alaikum, Dr. Miles, your guide. I am Hina Parenting Wali, facilitator at Rehan School Online Academy. and I really enjoy your answers. So inspiring for me, and also your journey. So I am asking you because of here is most of childs up to 9 years old. So how should be a good childhood? And you can say how can design uh, your childhood for a better future, uh, and compare your childhood time. So please.
This is a great question. Thank you for asking. I appreciate you asking this question. I'm just here, better beak, fekum. Hey, here's the thing, is that it says in the Quran, the things that we think are bad could be good for us, and the things that we think are good could be bad for us. Why am I starting with this? I'm starting with this because I had some rough things happen to me as a child. Um, it was not all smooth sailing. I got into fights. Occasionally, I lost a fight. As I mentioned, I've had, my house burned down. My parents eventually got divorced. I mention these things because there are some that will see those as bad things. But this goes to the question I was asked earlier about failure. There were lessons that I learned in all of these things. And so a good childhood is a childhood that you can draw lessons from that will help you mature into a better adult. I hope this makes sense to you, because it did not make sense to me when I was a child, because I had things happen. It's like, subhanAllah, why is this going on? But as I look back in my life, I realized that all those things shaped me and have prepared me for the life I now lead. And so, what I will encourage you to do as a young person is to learn as much as you can, to find people who are going down the path or who have been down the path that you want to go. This will make the biggest difference. Even as young Miss Hannah, you will still run into challenges in your life. There will be people who will reject you. I was rejected. There'll be friends who did not like me, particularly in this country, because, there are all sorts of reasons and things that I wouldn't do that other people did. It even caused me challenges as I was growing up, and because I obviously I don't drink, and so when people wanted to go out drinking, I wanted to go out partying, or doing a bunch of other things that I could not do. It wasn't always easy, but it was worth it. And so, take and learn from the lessons of your childhood, and then use those lessons to help you prepare to be a better adult, inshallah.
Thank you so much, Dr. Miles. Do you have time to take more questions?
How could I say no? How could I say no?
Okay, so just two last more questions and then we'll be taking your leave. Thank you so much, sir. On my screen, we have Atika E-Commerce Rally. Assalamu alaikum, Atika. Please introduce yourself.
Assalamu alaikum. This is me, E-Commerce Wali, student at Rehan School Online Academy. So, my question is, what is your dream?
I think I am living my dream. This is my dream. This is what I enjoy doing. I enjoy being better and talking and interacting with young people, particularly as I get older. This is my dream. I want to help create understanding in the world. I want to help people understand Islam better. I want people to understand each other better. My guiding light, which goes to what somebody asked me about earlier, is if you read the last sermon from the Prophet Muhammad, and in the last sermon, in the last paragraph in the last sermon, he states my vision and my dream, which is that no Arab is better than a non-Arab, no black is better than a white, that the distinction is on righteousness. This is no different than what was articulated in the United States by Dr. Martin Luther King when he said, I want to be judged by the content of my character, not the color of my skin. This is my dream. I have a dream, exactly. You need to read the first part of that speech, though, my dear young sister, because he condemns the United States and its practices before he gets to that dream, because he talks about the American nightmare before he gets to the dream.
That's amazing.
And
Thank you
there's
so
one more
much.
question. Is that Brother Muhammad that has the question?
Yes, it's Muhammad Kashif AI Wala. Assalamu alaikum, Muhammad. Please introduce yourself and go on with your question.
Walaikum Assalam. My name is Muhammad Kashif, and I've been in Rehan School for over a year now. And my question is, Dr. Miles, what was the most important lesson you learned from facing such challenges in your family and home life?
Yeah. The most important thing that I've learned is actually embodied in the Quran. It says, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Wal asr inna al-insana lafi khusr illa alladhina amanu wa amilu salihati wa tawassaw bil haqqi wa tawassaw bis sabr. Is that we have to practice patience, perseverance in the pursuit of truth. This is the most important lesson that I have learned, because in the absence of perseverance, that over time we are doomed, that we just give up. We submit to things that we should not submit to. And so the most important lesson I've learned is to have a bit of patience, to pursue the truth, to encourage people towards righteousness, and to encourage myself in the same way, so that I can be successful in this life and in the next, inshallah.
Amazing, amazing. I don't know about others, but it's just an honest review. I just love this GupShup session. I don't know why, but I felt so inspired, so connected, and I got it through, seep it into through my body and heart. It's amazing. We have last question. Apologies. It's our again a facilitator, Miss Laila Khan Coding Valley. Ma'am, could please introduce yourself, and so with that we could move on. Ji, ma'am.
Thank you so much, Ma'am Maha. Assalamu alaikum. My name is Laila Khan, and I am facilitator in Rehan system. Thank you, Sir Mail.
My pleasure.
Dr. Mail, we really enjoyed the session with you. Thank you so much for giving us your valuable time. Dr. Mail, what one piece of advice would you like to give our students to help them succeed in the future?
Yes. If I had to give you one piece of advice, I would say to you, continue to be hopeful. It is often hard when we look at present situations in our lives, in our communities, in our country, and sometimes around the world, and we want to give up hope. We want to believe that there is something else or someone else or some people else in control other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I say to you that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is always in control, even in the midst of the things that we see that are bad. There's still something there. So we have to be hopeful. We are supposed to be the best of people. And so in order to be the best, you can't be in despair. So my dear young brothers and sisters, do not be in despair. Keep the hope alive. Keep the hope alive that you can be better, that your family can be better, that your country can be better, and that the world can be better, inshallah.
Inshallah. Thank you so much.
What a beautiful.
Layla raised a hand at the last minute. Layla, I think you'll be the last one to get the question. And if you don't mind, I'm not taking your role, my dear Miss Maha, but I just saw
No
her
issues,
hand
no
pop up.
issues.
I just want to give her a chance.
No issues. So I think she's done.
Oh,
And yeah, and it was a lovely advice, a beautiful one for everybody listening out there. Before we end up, Dr. Miles, you have seen that there are a lot of walas and walis, including me. So the reason of having this wala and wali, the concept behind this is that, okay, so if I talk about my teenagers or youngsters, I was never given the direction of what I had to become till date. So until then, unless I joined Rehan School. So our students, when they become part of Rehan School, they are given this opportunity to select what they want to be in future and how can they take responsibility of a one particular thing. It could be anything or any field, and later on they can improve and work on this and make this world a better place for the upcoming future generations and obviously for themselves. So if I was at place of them, so I think I should have been told this very earlier, but I was not. But now when I'm 24 and I've been part of Rehan School, I know that I'm going to be working on graphics Wali. So that's the concept behind Wala and Wali. So thank you so much to you. And thank you so much, Dr. Miles, for sharing your time, your wisdom, and your beautiful and valuable insights with us. I don't know about others, but for me, it was totally an inspiring session and fruitful for others. On behalf of me and my team, we really appreciate your presence and contribution to this GupShup session. And thank you so much, students and facilitators, for making this out. And until next time, please take care of yourself and your surroundings. Till then, Allah Hafiz and bye bye. Thank you, sir, so much, sir, for your precious time. It was totally amazing. Thank you. May God bless you.
Barakallahu feekum. Masalama.
Walaikum assalam. So, participants, we are done with ending the GupSup session. You all may leave. Thank you so much. Allah Hafiz. Have a great day.